I was thinking, when I was a kid, after soccer practice or the odd occasion where my mom would take us to McDonald's, I would always get the same thing. Like I never mixed it up. My favorite thing to get was the quarter pounder burger, the combo, right? The burger, the fries, and the drink. And you know how much it cost back then? $2.99, $2.99, $3. And I was a kid. If I thought that I could fit the double quarter pounder, that one was only $4, $3.99. Those days are over with.
The backlash began with just a photo. Here, at a rest stop off Route 95 in Darien, Connecticut, between a Subway, Dunkin' Donuts, and Sbarro, sits a McDonald's. In 2023, a traveler passing through was astonished by its prices. Instead of reaching for their wallet, they pulled out their phone to capture the absurdity. A Big Mac meal running nearly $18.
Wow.
The picture was posted on Twitter and accompanied by a question, and the response was overwhelming. The meal and its outlandish price tag went viral. It sparked conversation across social media. It made national news. Wow. It got so big that even McDonald's itself got involved, releasing a statement accompanied by a handy graphic aimed to bust some myths about just how expensive McDonald's had become over the past few years.
It's crazy.
What gave this story such staying power was that it felt like the perfect example of a phenomenon that was bigger than the Northeast and bigger than McDonald's, but instead one impacting all Americans at all fast and fast casual food spots. That these cheap and convenient dining options were just no longer cheap. An $18 burger meal proved that point anecdotally, but some further research proved as much too. In the past decade, overall food prices were trending higher than the overall consumer price index, and then prices for food away from home have trended yet higher again than overall food prices.
Damn.
Within the category of food away from home, more research showed, price growth at limited service restaurants, or fast and fast casual, was outpacing sit-down restaurants. Fast food wasn't just reflecting broader rising costs for the American consumer, it was leading the charge. Now, accompanying the general outrage over an $18 Big Mac meal were the explanations as to how we got here. Often led by industry insiders or the industry itself, the explanations cited things simply out of fast food's control. Labor, for instance, had become more expensive after COVID. California had passed a bill that was going to hike minimum wage for fast food workers to $20.
Hold on, they're going to try to make it seem like they're just trying to pass the buck. No. Everybody knows it's public information. I mean, McDonald's is just one example of multiple fast food chains, but this is not something that you could say, well, we got to pay our workers more. Look at California raising the minimum wage. Shut up. This is more than just about that, right? The thing is, right, if a burger that used to be, let's say $4, right? Let's give it the benefit of the doubt, $4. Not even a burger, pardon me. The whole combo was $4. Right now, you're trying to justify charging $18 for that same combo, let's just say 15, 20 years later. I get it. Inflation, a lot of things have changed and are still changing. But don't try to think that people are stupid or naive in order to believe that this is just because you have to pay your workers more. Cut it out. Stop it.
An hour. Retail ground beef prices had soared across the decade too, while supplies like paper wrapping, cups, and packaging shot upward as well. With trade wars, tariffs, stimulus checks, and increasing minimum wages, fast food chains were forced to get more expensive and hand these prices off to the customer. Or at least, that's what they'd like their customer base to believe.
Thank you.
What's lost in this broadly true but incomplete explanation is the fact that pricing is not just a reflection of strictly costs and constraints, but broader business strategy. Fast food is not just getting more expensive because of factors beyond the industry's control, it's getting more expensive because the business of fast food is changing on the fly.
Yes.
Compare these two burger joints on either side of I-5 in Burbank, California. One representing the cutting edge of fast food's change, the other an industry outlier that simply refuses to change. These two storefronts offer a very similar product at a very similar price. The Double Double at In-N-Out Burger costs $6.10, and the Big Mac at McDonald's at $6.49.
Okay.
Both offering a conceptually analogous item sold at about the same price is largely where the similarities between these two businesses end. Their business strategies and operations, in fact, are so different that In-N-Out wants you to buy a Double Double burger, while McDonald's, on the other hand, actively hopes you don't.
Don't you love In-N-Out?
While a bit cheaper, on average, the consumer is going to find the Double Double an objectively better product. Personal preference aside, the Double Double is made up of ingredients that have never been frozen. The meat was processed by In-N-Out at one of these two locations that are both within a day's drive, while ingredients like buns have been contracted out to the same company since the 1950s, ensuring freshness and consistent quality. That superior consistency and quality is then carried through the process of preparing those ingredients and interacting with the customer making the order, as each location is laid out in an almost identical manner, while staff is trained and expected to deliver a highly standardized product with a cheery, welcoming attitude.
I think that's like a part of this is a lot of the talk is about never frozen, or, you know, McDonald's is always in the news and people have a debate back and forth. If you talk to people that used to work at McDonald's, they'll tell you it's been frozen at some point, right? And that's why a lot of people prefer to shop or to buy food at other chains, because it just tastes better, right? It's not necessarily just because the beef might be sourced better or in a more humane way or whatever. It's not that complicated. It ain't that deep. It's just it tastes better when it's never frozen, and that goes for any beef anywhere, right? It's I don't know. That's not the purpose of this video. But if I say I like In-N-Out or another burger chain, it tastes better. Like, obviously the Big Mac is iconic and the McDonald's burgers have secret sauce or seasonings or whatever, but the beef just tastes better when it's not frozen.
Whether by comparative Google reviews between Burbank locations or annual rankings for customer satisfaction, In-N-Out is going to beat McDonald's. And it has to, as it's core to the company's strategy. This In-N-Out, and every In-N-Out, has a lot of staff to pay. Whereas McDonald's can run a slow shift with 5 to 10 employees, an In-N-Out will be staffed with 10 to 15, and during the lunch and dinner rushes, this number can regularly balloon to 25. And not only are there more people to pay, but they're getting paid better, as this Burbank location starts its staff at $22 an hour with benefits and quick positional and pay advancement
California
opportunities.
Yeah.
With industry-leading pay and staffing and a comparatively cheap product, the chain saves through vertical integration. The company owns the locations rather than renting them. It operates its own meat processing and trucking, and it sources products from pink lemonade to paperware from the...
That's a key point. You know, some people, this is a little more, I don't want to say advanced, but not the topic of the video. Actually, it could be the topic of the, it's loosely around the topic of the video. Rent, own. A lot of people think that, or say that McDonald's is in the fast food business. But if you really dive deep, they're in the real estate business. Let's see if he goes and talks more about it before I share my thoughts on that. But McDonald's is a real estate company.
Same singular companies it has for decades. But those savings aside, to profit off a menu built around $5 and $6 burgers, this location needs to sell a lot. Because of a combination of quality and consistency, an In-N-Out customer will gladly brave a 20-minute drive-thru wait or stand in line for a few minutes without the privilege of ordering ahead or through an app. And because of this loyalty to the product, an average location does annual revenue of about $6 million a year.
Whoa.
McDonald's, on the other hand, averages about $4 million per location a year. More impressive still, In-N-Out pulls in 33% more business in...
Am I the only one that's shocked here? I did not expect that. I thought that McDonald's would have been double to triple the revenue per year, even this close in proximity in a expensive state like California. Is anyone shocked or just me? Let me know down in the comments below. It kind of blew my mind a little bit.
15% less time, as its locations are open for an average of 14 and a half hours a day compared to McDonald's 17. Family owned, consistent, clean, simple, In-N-Out feels like what fast food was like at its founding in the 50s. But that's exactly why it's so singular, so unique from the rest, and so small. In its home state of California, there are only 289 locations compared to over 1,200 McDonald's within the state. Just within this narrow cross-section of Burbank, McDonald's outnumbers In-N-Out 4-1.
Wow.
In-N-Out is tiny in the grand scheme of things, and in every trend of fast food, it's an outlier. But the very fact that it competes with, and in many cases outcompetes, the larger fast food chains on price while providing equal to better quality shows that pricing is a tool. a choice, an extension of strategy, rather
agree.
than something simply forced upon the industry.
I agree.
With 14,000 locations in just the US, but just 5% of those locations operated by the publicly traded company, McDonald's as a corporation just can't maximize consistency or quality of products like In-N-Out, nor are they really incentivized to. You see, the transformation that shot prices through the roof began with a pivot, making breakfast available all day.
Oh yeah.
In the 2010s, as year-over-year
Almost
sales
forgot
across
about
US
that.
locations were either stagnating or falling, McDonald's, under new leadership, looked to counter the rise of fast casual
Does anyone remember that? Like you'd go to McDonald's at like 11:30 at noon and you'd ask for like a breakfast sandwich and they'd be like, sorry, we only offer that before 10 or 10:30 or 11 or whatever. And you'd be pissed. And then, damn, I completely forgot about those times. I don't know how old the majority of you guys are, but let me know down in the comments below if you remember when breakfast was not served all day at McDonald's.
restaurants encroaching on their territory. CEO Steve Easterbrook wanted McDonald's to be the modern, progressive burger company. That meant better quality chicken, fresher beef, more data-driven decisions, and a more capable mobile app. The first major move was that all-day breakfast extension.
Yes.
Customers had always clamored for this, surveys called for it, but leadership understandably had reservations. Would it be worth the kitchen remodels and complications? Would the move cannibalize lunch and dinner product performance? Rather than go off a hunch, they modeled it, leaning on a tech partnership with Applied Predictive Technologies, then rolling out a regional trial and collecting receipt data with the help of the NPD Group. The study showed that all-day breakfast would bring customers they had lost back, while also adding to overall receipt totals, as midday diners
Why
were
would they
showing a
take so long
tendency
to bring it
toss
back?
a breakfast item like a McMuffin or hash brown on their order. Confident enough to push the franchise to remodel their kitchens and take on all-day breakfast, the company began a major turnaround, and they attributed it to not just a host of breakfast items, but the increasing importance of big tech and big data in the company's operations.
Okay.
It was just the start. Consider these three transactions.
Well, let me look at these prices real quick. Double big, where's the quarter pounder? Okay, look at that. Double quarter pounder with cheese, $7.79, $7.80, almost $8. That's literally double the price of what I remember before. Quarter pounder with cheese, almost $6. So pretty much double. It not exactly like to the cent, but pretty much double.
One buying a Big Mac meal in Aztec, New Mexico, one buying a Big Mac meal in Newcastle, Colorado, and one buying the same product again, this time in Burbank, California. The difference in prices between
what
the
year is
three
this?
reflect what McDonald's can't control: the independent franchisee pricing that accounts for labor costs and other local factors. But consider the medium through which each transaction occurred: 2 kiosks and a phone screen, and now McDonald's greatest tool for business optimization comes into focus. Historically, a common refrain for those in the know was that McDonald's is a real estate company.
Brother, this is what I've been saying. When I tell this to people, they look at me like, what are you talking about? When you go to McDonald's, don't you buy food? I said, yes, but it's a conversation that you have to bring in facts, receipts, and you have to like explain it in a way where people are just not really trying to entertain it. But I'm so glad he just went there. I did not know he was going to go here. I'm enjoying this video. Are you guys enjoying this so far? Let me stop. Let me let it continue. Drop a like if you're enjoying this. I'm so glad he touched on that.
This still holds true. They own much of the land on which their franchise locations sit. They
Yes.
count on rent as a core income stream.
Yes.
But in the last decade, McDonald's, along with its large competitors,
care
have
about the
increasingly become
customers or the
tech
quality.
companies too.
It's a real
Turning to
estate
tech
company.
allowed McDonald's to focus on a critical aspect of the company's shortcomings that all-day breakfast had hinted at: convenience. Customers wanted shorter wait times, faster orders, and ways to order ahead.
It's fast
In short,
food, duh.
This meant screens. In 2019, the restaurant chain acquired a company called Dynamic Yield to help further optimize and personalize the ordering experience through past user data and trends. It was the largest acquisition by McDonald's in 20 years, and it forever altered the ordering process.
Wow.
Take, again, getting a Big Mac. Now, really no matter its price, a Big Mac is either a loss leader or only derives a tiny turn of profit for a McDonald's location. If you were to order one in the past then, whether in the drive-thru line or counter line, you'd be faced with a whole host of promotions of new products, drinks, or all-day breakfast items in the form of physical posters and banners on the menu. And when you went to order your simple sandwich, you'd be asked if you'd like to turn it into a meal.
I remember that, the constant upselling. It was almost annoying. You know, remember back there was a documentary called Super Size Me? I'm not even gonna go there.
As French fries, and especially fountain drinks, have far better margins. Perhaps you'd be tempted to do so because McDonald's, after all, has years of experience and tricks in getting you to spend a little bit more.
They do.
McDonald's has a long
They
used meal
absolutely
pricing
do.
decoy strategies, for example, to make the large meal feel so similarly priced to the medium that you go ahead and opt for the large.
It's literally brilliant marketing. And it's like, I kind of want to, I want to have a conversation with somebody, a marketing expert, and just ask them questions about what they think about the practices of not just McDonald's, but the major fast food companies. It is actually brilliant. I had a conversation with somebody recently actually about Starbucks. You know those viral videos where they just take the ice and then they put it in the same cup and it's like the same amount of liquid, but you're paying for the bigger cup. You know what I'm saying? It's just marketing.
If you were to leave with just a sandwich, that'd be a loss for the chain. If you were to leave with a sandwich, a drink, and an odd-end add-on, McDonald's would count that as a win.
Yep.
But now, Dynamic Yield, the kiosks, the McDonald's app, and drive-thru have all taken this to the next level through far smarter, far more personalized sales tactics. Digitized, personalized, customized menus means long gone are the days of the drive-thru board listing every possible meal item. Today, if you're planning on ordering at the counter or off the digital menu at the drive-thru, you're only going to see the options the company wants you to see. At this New Mexico location, the only listings and prices are for extra value meals. If you're planning on just ordering a Big Mac and not the meal, you're gonna have to ask. And if you want to know the exact price before committing, you'll have to ask for that too. You can still order anything off the menu, of course, but a curated menu passively pushes your order towards what they want to sell. And this goes both ways too. The company actively wants to make a
okay, for somebody that's used the app, have you ever just wanted to buy the burger and it's like you feel like you have to jump through hoops to just find out how much it is? Because they're just like showing you the combo price and you have to go to this menu, then you have to click this and go here. I get it. You constantly have to upsell. You're a corporation. You're in the business of making money off the land and the property that you own. And as a result, the food that you sell.
Sale too, and it's pushing options that have proved popular, or say if it's a super hot day, it'll push items like ice cream and cold drinks that it assumes will be popular. This curation also keeps things moving quicker too, as a massive menu with every offering slows lines to a crawl during rush hours. So to optimize the convenience factor the company leans on, it keeps these menus simple. If you want the full menu, you'll have to turn to the kiosks or the app, but it's going to be in exchange for your data, or at least asking for your data. Your location and your order habits are hugely helpful for McDonald's to optimize for efficiency, so when you use a kiosk, it'll ask you to log into your McDonald's account, and then it'll ask again.
Personally, I don't think I've ever used this thing. I just go in the line and order maybe because I've been going to McDonald's for so long, I'll just walk past this thing. If it helps, let me know. I've never used this thing. I see it all the time, but maybe the one I go to is just not that busy, or maybe it's just the time that I go, but I just don't understand how this could help me. But let me know. Maybe I'm naive and I just need to give it a shot.
And once in, you'll just have to maneuver around the headline items like the brand new refreshers and the top ticket items like the Archburger, a novelty luxury item with fairly good margins, to get to your sandwich
of choice.
You have
the Archburger before
the app is going to be less pushy to get you to log in, because once in, you stay logged in and you're incentivized to stay through the accumulation of points and the varying personal promotions, whether it's a free item on your birthday or a boilerplate limited time free medium fry with any order to hopefully get you in the door. Such deals create loyalty both ways, while also allowing McDonald's to better suggest and surface items to a customer based on their past orders.
Damn.
And it provides user data that then goes on to inform strategy and pricing company-wide. If, for example, you're consistently ordering Big Macs when they're $6.10, then when the price goes up to $6.49, you no longer order the sandwich, or worse yet, you no longer spend at McDonald's, that's extremely valuable information for the company to have, and ultimately information that the company will act on.
I didn't realize that it's only really possible for them to get that information if you use the app, or if you use it in conjunction with scanning your barcode when you're in the drive-thru or you're at one of those kiosks. Damn, I never thought of that.
Quality of the product or the product itself presents a massive undertaking for a chain so big.
This is a lot deeper than I
and big
thought.
data allow McDonald's to better alter and fine-tune prices and offerings to best match what the customer is willing to pay. Where In-N-Out optimizes through what it controls in the physical world, the big chains optimize through the digital. In the wake of the $18 Big Mac meal
That's
going
the
viral,
advantage.
concerns over McDonald's pricing strategy were voiced in an earnings call. The company was losing its important lower-income customer, and the perceived value of the company's products in relation to price was declining.
Let's talk about this for a second. Fast food. If you call yourself a fast food chain and you're selling a burger, okay, let's specify the Big Mac. All right, Big Mac is beef, burger, fries, drink, beef, grains, potatoes, sugar. Right? If you're going to spend $18 after tax, over $20, right? Now, in my opinion, over time with this trajectory, right? It only makes sense that it's going to get more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. So at some point, not right now, but at some point, fast food, something that's supposed to be quick and unhealthy, is going to be on par with the same price of something that takes long and that is healthy. Imagine going to get some potatoes, whether it's mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes, and a steak, right? Something that might cost you $28 to $32, right? And if you're getting older and you're realizing, well, you know, the rent's due, the mortgage is due, the bills are due, right? And then you're getting older, so you're driving a lot more, so you might be putting on some weight. You might be at a point in your life where you're trying to lose some weight and you're trying to make more health conscious decisions. Don't you think that at some point that individual is going to say, you know what? The Big Mac is $25 for the combo. Steak, potatoes, and a sparkling drink that has zero sugar, you know, Diet Coke, whatever, is $28. Don't you think they're going to spend that $3 somewhere else? Especially if it takes longer and longer for McDonald's or another big chain to fulfill their fast food order. Fast food, unhealthy food is approaching the same price as healthy, wait for it food. And at that point, it's a crossroads where I just don't think that they'll win. I just don't.
The answer came in the form of a major value push. First, the $5 meal deal launched in mid-2024, then the McValue menu the year following. Both span breakfast and lunch items, both have marked a pivot in sales, and broadly have proved to work. And yet, if you were to go to this McDonald's location in Darien, Connecticut, a Big Mac meal would still run you nearly $18.
Why?
And that's because the word perceived in perceived value is doing a ton of work. McDonald's is not in the business of quality food or cheap food so much as it's in the business of convenient food at a stomachable price.
Okay.
That's why the company developed the app. It's why it revamped drive-thru menus to get average ticket times down. It needs to provide a product at pace. More accurately, it needs to provide products at pace. It needs to be a place where you can grab lunch, a coffee drink, and a bag of ice all at the same time. But a customer will only act on such convenience so long as they believe they're not getting ripped off for a fairly unspectacular product.
Exactly.
So McDonald's pores over the data, tinkers with prices, alters its value menu offerings over and over to find the precise price point that the customer will tolerate. Recently, the company launched its own line of refreshers, and they're pushing the product hard.
You ain't Starbucks.
Now, these
Cut it out.
products, simply by being drinks,
Cut
have
it out.
high returns. But they also create incentive in the customer to alter habits. Rather than going to Starbucks, one could just hop on the McDonald's app and order one of these along with a food item that Starbucks can't match. At $3.69 to $4.69, these
Why?
drinks aren't cheap, but they're comparatively cheaper. They're cheaper than the options at Dutch Bros, Starbucks,
It's flavored
and Sonic.
water, bro. Come
They're
on.
just cheap enough,
$4?
the company hopes, for the customer to think they're getting decent value for their money and benefiting from the convenience of being able to grab food in the same stop, that they'll change up their typical afternoon refresher routine and instead bring their business over to the Golden Arches.
I don't understand why people
The
would
tech
buy
pivot
that.
is broader than McDonald's. Taco Bell, owned by the publicly traded Yum brand, has
Right.
turned to a bifurcated menu with extreme value items and high-dollar bundle items pushed through the app. Practically every fast and fast casual restaurant from Jimmy John's to Panera Bread have mobile apps and digital loyalty programs. Wendy's found itself in hot water when it launched a digital menu system that could potentially alter prices of products midday.
What?
Customers call it surge pricing, and the
I didn't know
outcry
about
started
this.
a larger conversation over an accusation that no restaurant wants to be associated with: dynamic pricing. Of course, none in the industry want to be associated with dynamic pricing given how much distrust the label engenders.
No,
but the
you can't do
technology
that.
exists,
It'll be
the
over
data
with.
and the data processing exists, and already at just about every big chain, though it doesn't happen over the course of the day, the prices of products do change and the value menus shift around every few months.
They'll never get away with that. Whether it's Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, you can't get away with that. You can't. Okay, let's just say breakfast is all day, right? So put that to the side. If you want a Big Mac after 11 a.m., and let's just say, I believe this video, they're circling around the fact that it's $18, right? So let's just say between 11 and 12, it's $18. But then between 12 and 1:30, it's $19.99 for surge pricing. They will never, ever, ever get away with that. And if people identify that and they try to do what a lot of these grocery chains are trying to do by going digital, they're in for a world of trouble. If you're not familiar with what I just mentioned or what I'm talking about, you know, some people say, maybe I'll do a video on it, but some people say that apps like Instacart are using targeted pricing or changing the price for different people depending on their area code, zip code, or their tax bracket. Let's just call it what it is, right? If somebody makes more than somebody else, they'll pay more than the other person, right? And there's been investigations about that as well, because that is, I don't want to call it illegal, but it's dishonest. It's terrible business, and it just seems like that's the way that we're going. But as from a fast food chain perspective, they will never, ever play that down or get away with that.
It may seem too far of a reach now, but pricing structures that shift by the hour and by the customer would fit the larger optimization and efficiency pushes that fast food has leaned into the last decade. Customers have come to stomach rising costs, so perhaps, if slowly and quietly implemented, they'll come to embrace dynamic ones too.
No. Brother, no.
There's an interesting problem with how information spreads online today. Modern media ecosystems are incredibly efficient at amplifying stories, but not necessarily at helping people understand them.
All right, you guys. I think this is running a little bit too long. Let me just wrap this up real quick. Great video. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. I honestly think that the prices are starting to get out of hand. I'm going to allude to what I mentioned just a little short while ago. Maybe this is not just my opinion. Let me know if you share it as well, okay? If I can go somewhere and wait, sit down, if I have the time, right? If I can sit down and wait 15 to 20 minutes for them to bring me out a 8-ounce steak, some mashed potatoes with garlic and some butter and just woo, right? And then whatever drink I like, and the total bill for just me, right? Let's say I'm there with my significant other, my wife, or who knows, I'm there with my buddies or whatever. Just one person, not the entire bill, one plate. And the drink will cost me $28 to $30, right? And then if I go to McDonald's and I wait the same time, maybe less, maybe 15 minutes, right? For a fast food meal that was frozen at some point, and it's going to cost me $26 roughly, everything all in, taxes and all that. If I have a little bit of time, I might as well go get the healthier option, because over time that makes more sense. And it's like fast food to me has to be cheap. It has to be cheap. That's the only advantage you have over other healthier options. You're cheaper, right? It's kind of like if you think from a grander scale, right? If you're in competition with somebody, you have to have the one up on them in at least one aspect, or else you're going to fail over time, right? You can scale your business, but at some point you're going to lose to the competition. The competition has a better product. Your competition has better prices. Your competition has better location. Your competition has better customer service. Your competition has better turnover. It doesn't matter. You have to have an advantage. So if your prices are going to catch up with healthier options, you're cooked. You're absolutely cooked. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you think that these prices are getting outrageous, if you think it's going to continue in that upward trajectory and become just out of touch for the common class of people that just want to grab something quick on their way home, on their way to work, or what have you. Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.